This is JRAM.
And this is Billy.
And this is the JRAM and Billy Show.
And today we're going to be reviewing
Friday the 13th.
Part 3
in 3D.
Stick with us. All right, so James, tell me about this movie. As the other ones, this is the first time I've seen this, so
yeah,
I don't have as much experience with it.
This is about the fourth or fifth, maybe.
The fourth or fifth
time I've watched this.
Oh, I was about to say, no, this is the third film. This is the third film.
Yeah, it is the third film.
This is not the fourth or fifth film.
Let's begin with that. Music you heard is actually the intro music to the movie.
Yeah.
Somebody thought it was a good idea to give Jason a disco theme in 1982.
I'm 100% cool with it. I actually kind of like it.
I do too. It's actually kind of neat.
Yeah, it's popping.
So let's begin with an amazing factoid, which is this movie was released theatrically August 13th, 1982. It grossed over $36.6 million in the U.S. box office on a budget of $2.3 million. It was the first movie to remove E.T. the Extraterrestrial from the #1 box office spot and became the second highest grossing horror film of 1982, right behind Poltergeist.
Okay, well, I mean, I've seen Poltergeist. I can see why that one would get more. I mean, that's a Spielberg film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Produced, but still, this was so popular, it took out E.T.
Yeah.
And is the second highest grossing horror film of 82.
Gotta say, I'm not a big fan of E.T. personally.
I've only seen it once.
Yeah.
I watched it once as a child. It made me cry, and I never watched it again. I literally took it out of the VCR player and threw it away.
Just because it made you cry?
Yeah, I've only seen Bambi once. I've only seen E.T. once.
Okay, so this movie starts out the day after
Part 2, pretty much.
The day after Part 2. So if you haven't, check out our other podcasts about the original Friday the 13th as well as the sequel. We're going on we're going on an escapade to pretty much go through all of these films, and then we're going to go through all of the
and I'll give you
nightmare films. So yeah,
it'll be interesting. I'll give you a little heads up. Starting with Part 4, we actually have a trilogy. 4, 5, and 6 are the most tightly interwoven of the entire series. They really connect.
Even more than these that are like the day after?
Yeah, because the same characters carry over. We'll get there.
All right.
But following the events of the previous film, Jason, who was badly injured, he had that machete into his chest and all that stuff, but somehow still survives.
Yeah.
He gets to a store, and he starts robbing clothes, off the clothesline.
Yeah, this is what the really uncomfortable shitting sequence.
Yeah, it is. Because the people who own the store are Harold and his wife Edna. And again, like we said, this movie was in 3D, but not cool 3D like that. They have to do things like, oh, here's a pole in your face to really let you know that this is supposed to be 3D.
Yeah.
But
it was very gimmicky.
It just nothing but gimmicks for 3D.
Yeah.
It interfered with the story plot. I actually feel like it would have been better if it had just been 2D.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he murders them right off the bat. He kills Harold with a meat cleaver to the chest, as Billy said, after he's shitting. Because we watched this and he gets scared because a snake is in his rabbit coop.
Yeah.
And lunges at him because, again, 3D.
And you can totally see the wire on it.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. It's bad effects. But anyway, after being scared by the snake, he has to run to the shitter. He gets there. You hear it audibly, just drop. Yeah, dude, it's bad. The sounds it makes is bad. And then he gets scared because the shed starts moving. And I'm telling you, I watched closely. He gets up, pulls up his pants. He does not wipe. He just got done taking a massive shit, and then he doesn't wipe.
That's gross.
He dies with shitty underpants.
Wow, that's unfortunate. Well, I mean, I guess we all kind of do.
I guess, but he should have wiped. He might not have because he just pooped.
Maybe.
If he had wiped, he might have been the first human to not.
Well, I wouldn't say
bowels.
the first human, but yeah, I know what you mean.
But anyway, he gets a meat cleaver straight to the chest.
Yeah.
And then, meanwhile, you liked this kill. His wife is impaled through the back of the head with her knitting needles.
Oh, yeah.
Her crochet needles. Because, again, 3D, it sticks out through her head and toward the audience.
Yeah. There was a lot of gimmicks, especially at the very beginning of the film. And then it seemed to kind of taper off. And then it was kind of interspersed randomly throughout the film. The little 3D gimmicky, like, in-your-face effects. Like, there was a lot at the very beginning of the film. Like,
and then you're right. It did kind of like, okay,
it tapered off for a while. And then you only saw it in a few certain sequences. But going back to the plot...
We then
so she gets nabbed. So does Harold. Mm-hmm. And now we move on to
our actual gang of young teenagers we're going to follow.
All the fornicating teenagers.
Well, not all of them. We have Chris Higgins, and they're going to Higgins Haven, which is her old family home on Crystal Lake, not near the camp necessarily, but it's on the same lake.
Yeah.
And they have with them Debbie, who's pregnant, her boyfriend Andy, Shelly, who's a prankster / special effects makeup artist.
Yeah, kind of.
And his blind date, Vera, who is not into him at all.
Yeah.
Shelly's going to strike out this whole weekend.
Yeah. And then never mind.
And they also have 2 stoner friends.
Yeah.
Chuck and Chili. I swear, the minute Chuck came on scene, what did you say?
I was like, that's Tommy Chong. Like, I legit thought that was Tommy Chong, but it wasn't. It was just somebody that they made look just
exactly
like him.
like Tommy Chong. To the point of Chong, and his name is Chuck. They kept the Chuck sound in the names.
Like, I think that's a little reaching. I don't think maybe they tried. I don't know. Chuck, Chong. I don't know.
It just... Anyway, so you have Chuck and Chili, who are 2 stoners. And they're on their way to this farmhouse. Well, on the way there, they almost run over an old man who's just laying out in the road.
Yeah.
Who Wikipedia tells us is named Abel. He's basically this movie's Crazy Ralph.
Yeah.
Not as good, though, would you say?
No.
Because all he does is hold up an eyeball and get another cheesy 3D effect and be like, look what he bestowed onto me.
It didn't look like a human eye.
No, it looked like a sheep eye or a goat eye. It looked like some kind of animal eye.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know really what an eyeball looks like outside of the, your eye socket.
Yeah. But. So they finally make it to the camp, and Shelly and Vera decide to go to a convenience store. Oh, we forgot something.
What?
There's that scare when they get to the cabins, or the farm, I should say. They're getting stuff. They're getting stuff out of the van. Chris and her guy friend.
Oh yeah, I remember
Rick.
Yeah,
who we called Rapey McRaperface. We'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
Anyway, while they're getting stuff into the van, Shelly scares them, and he pops out holding his case, and she's like, ah, and he's like, this is my life. Stay, real weird stuff with that case.
Yeah. So
they go to Shelly and Vera go to a convenience store and get into a confrontation with some bikers. Because not only does this movie have a
hold
psycho
on.
killer,
You're still getting ahead of yourself, James.
It has bikers.
You forgot about the pot eating sequence.
Oh, that's right. So, because this is an 80s horror movie, marijuana is shown as a dangerous substance.
Dangerous substance, you said.
Exactly. Because they pull out some pot, because they think when they pick Vera up to go with them to the farm, they turn around and they go, oh my God, the van's on fire, and they run to the van, and that's how we meet Chuck and Chili.
Yeah.
Is they open up the van doors and it's just them smoking some weed, man.
Oh man. It's this is the 80s.
82, early 80s.
Yeah. And so they go on down the road, and a police car
starts approaching them.
Starts coming, with their sirens on and their lights flashing. They're like, oh no, we're going to get pulled over. Like,
we got to get rid of this weed.
So they start eating it. Turns out that the cop wasn't even pulling them over. He was going to the scene of the murders where Harold and Edna were killed. So,
because you got to remember that Debbie, who's pregnant, like Andy, her boyfriend, tries to get her to eat the weed. She's like, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
You would think he'd know not to feed up pregnant women marijuana.
Yeah, well, there's more about that coming later.
Well, yeah, there's more coming about that. But anyway, so after that, they get pulled over by the cop. That's when they run into Abel, who is the, Crazy Ralph. Ooh, look what he bestowed onto me.
Yeah.
And then we go a little bit later into their thing. Oh, you know why they go to the convenience store? is because after they load up and everybody finds their room, Debbie and Andy get a room that has no bed, just a hammock.
Oh, yeah.
Which, it's a good thing they're dating, because I don't know if any of you guys have ever tried to, like, sleep in a hammock with somebody.
It's easily flipped over. I was just like...
Well, no, but if you get into a hammock with another person, you better be dating them, or it's going to lead to some real awkward conversations afterwards.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after they find all their rooms, they hear a scream, a blood-curdling scream, and they rush to this room, and there's nobody in there.
Yeah.
And there's a tall bureau for clothing to hang up in. And they go over, and they open one side, and nothing happens. And then all of a sudden, Shelley falls forward with a machete, with a cleaver in his head.
Yeah.
And we go, oh, Jason's already started killing him. Yeah. Like, they barely made it to the house in 5 minutes, and he's already killed one of them. No, it's just a prank. Shelley, like I said, is obsessed with special effects makeup.
Which was convincing. I mean, it was.
Yeah, and it leads, it's all foreshadowing. It leads to something later on.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone gets mad at him for trying to trick them and make them think he was murdered.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty harmful prank to play on your friends anyway.
I mean, come on. Who hasn't done that?
I think a lot of people haven't tried to convince their friends they've been murdered.
I've done it on, like every week.
Well, that's not good.
I'm just joking.
Anyway, so he has to get out of there because they're all mad at him. So he and Vera go to the convenience store. And he tosses Vera his wallet because, again, 3D.
Yeah.
And it falls. And when Vera goes to pick it up, a biker chick steps on it. And these are cliche bikers, not like the normal, everyday, kind, friendly bikers. No, it's like
the chain-toting bikers that will screw up your cars and rob you.
Yeah, and totally in a gang and wanting to murder you.
Yeah.
And there are 3 of them. There's Ollie, Fox, that's the woman, and then the white guy who's named Loco.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did it have his name in there?
No, it didn't.
I don't remember
They only ever say Fox and Ollie.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that says, Ollie's going to kill you, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So Shelley and Vera get in the car after they leave the gas station and accidentally go in reverse and knock over, of course, the motorcycles from this motorcycle gang. So they try to go forward, and Ollie stops them with a chain wrapped around his hand.
Yeah.
And they
so
stop.
He punches out their
windshield.
He
looks at them, smiles, and they smile back. Think, okay, maybe he's going to be understanding. No, he's not going to understand at all. Boom! Out goes the windshield. Because it's not, you said it wasn't safety glass?
Yeah, it just looked like regular glass to me.
So maybe it'll be cheap to replace, because today that'd be pretty hefty.
I had to replace my windshield, and it was like $250, so...
Yeah, because it's not, we should mention that it's not their car that they're driving.
Yeah,
it's actually
it's Rapey McRapeface's.
Yeah, it's Rick, a.k.a. Rapey McRapeface's car. It's a little Volkswagen thing. So when they get back and explain the situation to him, they only give him like $20 to like fix the windshield. So maybe
that covered it? I don't know.
But anyway, Jason is there at the camp though. He's hiding in the barn. They're all staying in the house. There's also a barn.
Yeah.
And that's where Jason hides out for the entire movie. He doesn't leave the barn until like the very end of it.
Pretty much waiting for his victims to come to him, I guess.
Yeah. Eventually the bikers show up at Higgins Haven. And again, they do some more foreshadowing. They go and steal
the gasoline
out of the van that they all drove in.
And they were going to burn down the barn.
Yeah. But they end up going inside, and of course,
Jason's
by one,
in there. Yeah.
being murdered by Jason.
Yeah. So Fox goes in first.
Yep.
Just kind of exploring around and
to see what's going on. Yeah. She almost impales herself on a pitchfork. Like, remember, she trips and she almost lunges her eye because, again, 3D.
Yeah. And she's like, whoa, that's close. And then, like, Jason pops up.
Yeah, almost. Because she goes on that rope swing and she's swinging out of the barn. And that's where we learn Ali's name because Loco comes around and he sees her swinging and he's like, this is fun. And he goes, get down from there. Ali's going to kill you. And then he turns around, and when he turns back, the rope is empty. And it's just swinging outside. Yeah. And so he goes into the barn to look for her. Classic mistake.
Oh, yeah.
And sure enough, he finds her body because Jason
she's like impaled up on a...
Yeah, because Jason likes to still display his kills.
Oh, yeah.
So he goes, and then sure enough, pitchfork to the gut. And he's dead. Ali goes in there, and he gets hit a couple times with a machete.
Yeah. And you presume he's dead.
You do presume he's dead.
Like, it looks like he just got his arm hacked off or something.
Yeah,
is
so
what I thought
dead.
it was.
Yeah,
you know?
I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, he's not. He'll come back at a very important moment later.
Yeah. So then we go to...
Then we talk about Chris, and Chris tells Rick McRape... Okay, let's explain why we call him Rick McRapey-Face.
Yeah.
From the moment Rick shows up, he's really, really, really pressuring Chris into, like, having sex with him.
Yeah.
To the point where there's a scene where he's helping her lift hay into the barn, and he's like, you realize I gave up a weekend to be with some girl who's very easy to spend it with you. And she was like, oh, you gave up a weekend with the so-and-so to be with little old me? And he was like, yeah. So what I'm thinking is we'll dedicate our day 3 hours a day to lovemaking. 2 in the morning and then 1 at night. And it's like, dude, she's told you she's not ready for that.
Yeah.
Because it turns out Chris hasn't been...
first time you meet him, like, he shoves her up against a wall
and starts making out with her forcefully.
Yeah, it's just, shit that won't fly today.
Yeah, because she hasn't been to the farm in like 5 years. And Rick doesn't know why yet. He also has the line of, okay, I'll wait, but there's only so many cold showers a guy can take. Again, rapey McRapeface.
Yeah, it's messed up all around.
So she goes off in private with him into the woods, which seems like a bad idea because he's rapey McRapeface. And she tells him the story of how, it wasn't 5, it was 2 years ago. She got into a fight with her parents because she had come home late from a date with Rick.
Yeah.
Her mom hit her. She ran out of the house to punish them. Like, she figured if she hid out all night, that when she came home in the morning, they'd be so glad that they'd apologize and everything would be better. Stupid teenage logic.
Yeah. Turns out that there's a crazy man in the woods.
Man-child known as Jason, who it was not really well defined. Was he just go pawing at her, or was he actually trying to kill her?
It looked like he was trying to grab her up and
maybe kill her?
Maybe kill her. I don't know.
I don't know. He has a weird thing with her. Like, she sees his face, and that's all she really remembers is she sees this horrible disfigured face, and she passes out. And then she wakes up at home, and her parents never acknowledge what happened, act like nothing ever happened, so we don't know how she escaped. We just know that she did.
Or even if it's real, honestly. I mean, if no one acknowledges it, is it real at all?
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe it's all in her head.
Yeah, could be.
But she came back to try to get over the trauma and go back to her family home. And while they're out and away, Shelley and Vera decide to go down to the dock by the lake. And that is when Shelley pops up out of the water wearing the iconic hockey mask, because up until this point, as you'll learn when you listen to our other two, Jason doesn't have the hockey mask yet.
In the first one,
he's not even the killer.
Yeah, he's not even the killer. And then the second one,
pillowcase / potato sack.
Yeah.
Baghead Jason, as I call him.
I thought he kind of looked like Scarecrow from like Batman. That's what I thought he looked
Begins,
like.
Yeah, totally. But Shelley pops up wearing a hockey mask, scares Vera, and she rejects him, and he goes into the barn, where of course Jason slashes his throat. Then, because Jason is, I think he knows that he doesn't look right.
Well, probably.
Because, like, he's very concerned with keeping his head covered so you don't see his face.
No, he just doesn't want to get caught.
So I don't think he's that forward thinking. I think it's just like, oh, people are horrified by my face, Phantom of the Opera type thing.
Maybe.
So he puts on the hockey mask and he goes out to the lake. Vera's sitting there and she has Shelley's wallet and she comes across a picture of him and his mom and she's like, oh, maybe I'm being too hard on him. And she drops the wallet into the lake.
Yeah.
So she fishes around, she's able to get it out, and she turns around, and she sees what she thinks Shelley standing a little bit away, wearing the hockey mask, and holding a spear gun. I don't know where the spear gun comes from. I don't know why there's a spear gun at a farm.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
people go spearfishing in a lake?
Maybe
I don't think so.
Weird.
No, spearfishing's like a scuba thing.
But anyway, there's Jason with a spear gun. And this is the first time we see Jason has like dead-eye aim. Because he aims it at her from a good bit away.
Yeah.
Fires it. And of course it's 3D and goes straight into Vera's eye.
Yeah, through her eye.
And kills her.
So she falls into the water, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then he just turns around. And you notice this too. Just kind of laissez-faire. Just like Vera lazily just walks away like nothing happened. Because I guess to him, he doesn't...
I mean, it's probably like
just
second
the
nature.
Average Friday the 13th, right?
Well, it's actually Saturday the 14th.
Yeah, it is, because it's the next day.
Yeah.
Oh, he shouldn't be killing people. He doesn't have a calendar, though. He doesn't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
But anyway, so he enters the house, and Andy and Debbie have just finished having sex.
Oh, yeah, now you know they're about to get got.
Yeah. So Debbie goes to take a shower. Andy, who's shown to be very, acrobatic, walks on his hands to go fetch beers from the fridge downstairs.
Yeah, and she says she wants a beer, despite the fact that earlier she was like, I'm pregnant.
I can't eat weed because I'm pregnant.
But
beer, oh yeah.
Yeah, which she eventually is like, oh no, I don't want that beer. She comes out of the shower looking for him, trying to be like, hey, I don't want that beer. Can you hear me? Like, I don't want to have to yell. I hate it when you don't answer me.
But before that, we get to see a really cool kill because Andy's walking on his hands. Jason comes up with that machete and whoosh, straight up the crotch, slices him basically in half.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he hides the body. So she goes looking for him. She doesn't find him. She goes back to the room and picks up a magazine, Fangoria, which is a very popular horror magazine.
Yeah.
And in a nice little nod to the previous special effects guy, Tom Savini.
Yeah.
Who
she
worked on
opens
the other
up to a page.
To an article that's about him. The red blood, of course, starts dripping. She looks up. She sees her boyfriend split in half in the rafters. She screams, and in a callback to part 1 with Kevin Bacon, machete up through the chest from underneath.
Yeah. I wonder if Jason knew that his mother did that.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe. Be interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, the power goes out in the house, and Chuck goes downstairs to the basement to start the generator. And Jason is down there waiting, gets down there and he finds him. And he spooks him, and of course he goes, "Oh, Shelley, get out of here. I'm tired of you always scaring us." And it's not Shelley, it's Jason. So he takes him and throws him into the fuse box, which electrocutes Chuck to death. And in the meantime...
Is that the only one? He didn't use a knife at all.
He just threw him into the fuse box and kills him.
That's the first time it hasn't been slasher.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, in the other films, wasn't that...
I don't know if he's ever used electricity before.
Well, no, but I mean anything other than a knife.
Well, I mean, the spear gun and...
It's always something that, slices you up, you know?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, to Jason, would he even know that would kill him?
Maybe he just realized he was dead when he stopped moving.
Well, yeah, probably.
But in the meantime, while all that's going on, Shelley, somehow not dead from a throat slice.
Yeah.
Which would have, you'd think, have cut like an artery and just almost made him bleed out instantly.
Yeah.
But anyway, he makes it back to the house, and he tries to warn Chili that there's a maniac.
Yeah.
And you need to get out of here. But of course, because of earlier and his hatchet in the head trick, she goes, "Oh, Shelley, that special effects aren't even that good." And she doesn't believe him.
Boy who cried wolf right here.
And gets justice.
Yeah.
So he slumps to the ground, and she starts looking for Chuck. And then what really makes her get into a panic is when she goes over and touches Shelley, and he just falls over, and then she starts the most unbelievable scream of, "Oh God, Shelley's dead!"
Oh, yeah.
And she just screams about Shelley being dead, and she runs through the house trying to find everybody, and bam, out pops Jason with a red hot poker straight from the fireplace, and
of course, right in the camera.
Yeah, right in the camera, because again, 3D, and then right through her body, 3D. And she dies almost immediately. So Chris and Rick make it back to the house from their little romp in the woods, and they search the house because there's nobody around. Chris inside, Rick outside. Chris comes outside looking for Rick. Rick, where are you? I can't find anybody." Why don't you tell him what happens to Rick, to Rapey McRapeface?
Oh, yeah. So Jason uses his man-child powers to crush his skull.
He has I'm telling you, it can't be that easy to crush a skull with your bare hands.
Yeah, he crushes his skull and then his eyeball pops out.
Again, very clearly on a wire.
Yeah, clearly on a wire.
And when you watch it, what did we notice when you slow it down?
As soon as the camera the camera turns off somewhere else, and then when it comes back to his face, it's definitely like a
Fake head.
dummy head.
Yeah, a prop head.
I mean, they did a pretty good job recreating it. I mean, if in the theater, I don't know if I would have noticed it.
Was so quick you might not know, but in home viewing, it's like, oh, here it's no longer the actor, it's a dummy. Just pop, eyeball pops out. Rick's dead. Rapey McRapeface has met his end. So, of course, Jason goes into the house to attack Chris. She narrowly escapes and tries to flee in the van that, oh no, is out of gas.
Yeah, because the bikers decided that they wanted to
But
burn
because
down.
it's a 70s van, it has 2 tanks, and she flips on the auxiliary tank of gas, but then the bridge she's on collapses, and she has to escape that on foot.
Yeah.
So they make it inside the barn. Chris beats Jason over the head with a shovel, and she ends up hanging him.
Yeah, she wraps a rope around his neck on the loft and pushes him off.
Yeah, ends up shoving him off.
Yeah, and he falls, and it looks like it straight up kills him. And he's hanging just probably like a foot above the ground in front of the front door of the barn.
And she's safe in the barn because Jason barricaded the barn door after he followed her in there.
Yeah.
Like took a 4x8.
Like a 4x4
4x4 and just shoved it way down. So that barn door was not opening.
Yeah.
She was safe.
Yeah.
Nah, she's got to take that shovel and knock it up so she can go outside.
And of course she opens up the door, and right there Jason is hanging.
And she goes, oh, she thinks it's over. But then he's alive, and he starts lifting himself up the rope, lifts up his mask to show her that it's him.
It's him. Yeah, I
that
guess.
it's the guy who chased her 2 years ago in the woods. Because then she has like one of the worst line deliveries of all time. No, it can't be you.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And so he frees himself, and he goes inside, and then out of nowhere, Deuce X Ali comes up.
Yeah.
Not dead somehow.
Yeah, not dead. Yeah, even though we got hacked up earlier, he's still alive.
And attacks Jason. But this time, he is killed, because we counted like 6. Thunk, thunk. Jason like makes sure to chop him up real good.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's too late.
Yeah, and while he's hacking up Ali, Chris grabs
an axe.
Yeah.
And when he comes around, she takes it and she slams it, cracks the hockey mask, and impales him in the head. And then, of course, because it's in 3D, he reaches out with his arms straight at the camera, and it was actually pretty effective. Like I can imagine that if you saw it in 3D in the theaters, it would look like Jason was coming straight for you.
Yeah.
Like that was actually an effective use. And so he staggers a little bit, and then he collapses. And finally, Chris is like, I'm getting out of here. She leaves the barn. She gets in a canoe, and she's like,
yeah,
I'm
rows
out
out
here.
to the middle of the lake, just like the first one.
Because she wants to be safe. And then she wakes up, and it's morning. But oh no, Jason's in the house. He's not dead. He's maskless and has a giant gash in his head.
Yeah.
But he's not dead. But of course, as with every movie, that's just a dream.
Yeah.
Of course he's dead. He's still laying on the floor of the barn. Mm-hmm. But then Pamela Voorhees, all zombified and maggot and worm-eaten, comes up and grabs her from the boat, just like Jason grabbed Alice in the very first movie. But of course, that's Dream 2. She's being taken... Looks like she's in a straitjacket, I think, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Yeah, to a mental hospital. She's not gonna be fine after this. She's like, ha, 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 ha. She's laughing all weird and shit as they load her into the back of a police car and take her away, because all of her friends are murdered, and that's where the movie leaves us. Jason's body's still laying in the barn. The lake is at peace, and Chris is off to
I guess they don't clean up bodies. They just leave them in the barn.
Well, you'll see in part 4 what happens. Again, actually, you know what? It's a 4-quel, because 3, 4, 5, and 6 really, really tight.
Really?
Really tight.
All right.
But that's the way it ends. Everything is good. Jason's dead. Chris is going off to a mental institute because she will never be normal again. And that's where they leave us.
So what's your review? What's your 1 out of 10 on Friday the 13th Part 3?
To me, this is where the series should have stopped at 2. The first 2 were actually really good if they had done what they wanted to do, which is just take the name Friday the 13th and make it an anthology series where every installment told a different horror story centered around the holiday Friday the 13th. I think they would have had a better movie.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a low one. I'm going to give this, it's still not as bad as we will get.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think I gave the first one like a 9, the second one an 8. This one is, all right, I'll be generous, 6. 6 out of 10.
No, you can't take that back.
I am taking it back. 6 out of 10.
Okay, 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
I want to go with, I'll say like a 7 out of 10. Because, like, while the movie was cheesy, like, it was, like, it's a genre of film where you expect that sort of cheesiness. Yeah. And
plus that disco score really helps it out a lot.
Oh, yeah, totally. We'll jam out to that later. But actually, as of recording this, we are about to sit down and watch Friday the 13th 4, the final chapter.
Yes.
Which will, I mean, if you
not
know...
be the final chapter.
No, I mean, if you know anything about Friday the 13th, then you know that that's not near the last film that they made for that franchise.
They made Jason X and then Freddy versus Jason before they would be technically done with this run of movies.
Yeah.
Because they did reboot it in 2009.
Yeah, which they actually, speaking of, you can actually watch Jason X as well as the new Jason, well, the newest Jason on Netflix right now.
Ooh, that's fun.
You can see that on Netflix and also on Amazon Prime. These are just the 2 streaming services I have. You can see Friday the 13th 1, 2, and 3.
Ooh.
Well, I don't know if you can see 4 on it, but I'm assuming that they probably got a lot of the franchise on there.
If they have the first 3.
Yeah.
Let's actually, before we leave, tell a little story about this movie too that we forgot.
Oh yeah, so while we were watching this, we actually did get a little spooked because at my apartment, I don't have central heating and air, and actually we're kind of sweating here doing this podcast because the air conditioner is literally right next to my computer desk. And my other air conditioner that is in the kitchen on the other side of the apartment doesn't work. I've got to get it replaced.
It just circulates the air.
Yeah.
So we had to open up the windows before we watched the movie. And that night the wind was blowing so hard it was knocking stuff against the window to the point where we thought someone had come into the house.
Yeah, because my dog if she hears anything in the kitchen or like from outside, she just starts barking because she thinks that my girlfriend is home. From work or something. So she was just like, burr, 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 burr. And James is like, oh, there's a murderer out there.
And Ryan just bought right into it, like, oh, and we went, and of course there was nothing wrong.
Yeah, it was the blinds. It was the blinds getting blown up and against the windowsill.
So that was the first thing. And then, like, the very next day, you went to Spencer's, right?
Yeah, the very
Tell them what you found.
Yeah, so the very next day, I went to Spencer's and saw a Friday the 13th Part 3 movie poster T-shirt at Spencer's, and I thought it was really cool. It had it all in the blue and red, like
it was
3D print.
3D.
Yeah, it was
because the tagline for the poster is "A new dimension in terror."
Yeah. So
this movie's a little special, a little blessed for us. Or cursed.
Well, I mean, I can see how this one would be probably the most famous of the old Jason films, honestly.
Yeah,
like, I mean it's got a wider appeal, maybe.
Yeah,
especially because of the 3D part.
It's where he gets his mask. He'll have that hockey mask like for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So it's where that comes in. It kind of sets up the staple. Young kids, they go out in the middle of nowhere, they get killed.
Smoke some pot, have sex, and die.
Get killed. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Yeah. So, I mean, it sets up a lot of the tropes. You're absolutely right. It's why it's probably one of the most popular
We're going to need
ones.
to, like, talk about why it is that so many horror films follow that that whole, like, I mean, you know, most horror films, they have the pot smoking sequence. I mean, even Poltergeist had it, you know.
I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm. They're in the bedroom smoking weed.
Oh, that's right, because it's weird, because it's Craig T. Nelson, who from TV you may know as Coach, and for me, I know him as Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Mr. Incredible.
Oh,
he voices Mr. Incredible.
But it's just such a trope in horror films to have sex and drugs, and then you die.
And not even, I mean, usually not even hardcore drugs, like you just said. It's usually sex and pot.
Yeah.
And then you die.
Yeah, it's just strange. It's just strange to me. Damn, you can really hear the cars out there. But yeah, we will be back again, probably in a week or two. I don't know if we're going to do this one and then next week post the Friday the 13th 4 review, or if we're going to post a different podcast and then wait until the following week to post it. So stay tuned for that if you haven't already.
Like us on Facebook. We have a YouTube page. Go subscribe to that. Ring the bell.
Yeah, you can see all of that in the description for this podcast. If you haven't already, follow us on Podbean. That's who we use as our aggregator. So we're also on Spotify. So if you don't have the Podbean app and you don't want to just keep downloading our podcast to your phone, which is free, by the way, you can stream that on Spotify as well. And we'll see you next week.
This was JRAM.
And this is Billy.
And this was Friday the 13th.
Part 3. And now,
time to boogie! So if you listened all the way to the very end with us and boogied down, go to our Facebook page and comment Higgins Haven.